Welcome back to Hibachi Talk. Little rainy here at the beach, but we've decided to get under some shade and stay out of the rain. But sit down and join us for a libation and a little bit of talk on tech. It's going to be another fun day. I'm Gordo the Tech Czar, and I'm here with my good old buddy Andrew, the security guy.
Aloha, everybody.
Nice to see you, bud. Where's my handshake?
See you, man. What's up? How you living?
You're slow at the switch. Anyway, so we're going to have a fun day today and talk about some interesting stuff that's happening in the security area. But we also got a great guest coming in. It's Forrest Frizzell who's going to talk to us about some business process re-engineering, I'll call it.
Okay.
And how to see the forest for the trees.
Ah.
So, so Forrest is going to come in and talk to us and handle that stuff. But in the meantime, so how's the week been going?
How the week in tech
How did you
news?
spell this week?
It was a short week, but it seemed long. So we made it here to Friday anyway, so I'm happy to be here. There's definitely some interesting technology stories that I think we'll get to this week.
I think the one that's really of interest to me was yesterday's announcement or recognition that Lenovo, who, if you recall, it was a Chinese firm that bought the IBM PC and server product, the Lenovo Group brand, and
2 years ago,
yeah,
maybe.
2 or 3 years ago, purposely implanted spyware on their machines before shipping them out.
Is that the story?
Yeah, and Superfish was the guy that's out there.
That's right.
What I found interesting is that when the Chinese first acquired the Lenovo brand, there was a lot of talk within the governments about taking those products literally out of their server farms. Although Lenovo,
they're afraid
they were afraid that was something going to happen, and lo and behold, it did. And there's a guy in Australia who actually discovered it. It was not even discovered by the McAfee product that was running on the devices. So the guy took his Lenovo Yoga back to the store, went to Best Buy, opened up two more that were right on the counter, and they were both hacked as well. So right now, Lenovo's doing this massive backpedaling to try and say that they were doing this so that people would have a better advertising experience. But they're also tracking their access to their bank accounts, what they've been purchasing, those kinds of things. So it's a pretty.
So it's also harvesting other things, not just a cookie. It's actually harvesting data and send it back.
Yeah, it opened up a hole in iExplorer, another one in iExplorer.
I see.
So now Microsoft, believe it or not, came out with a fix for it already.
Yeah, that's what I did post that. The Defender's catching that already and eating it up.
Yeah, so eating it up. So that's.
Do you know what browser versions? I didn't keep up.
I did not check that out.
Okay.
Let's see which browser version it is.
Yeah, we're up to 10 or 11 with IE, so keep
yeah. So and that's a scary one that's happening in that kind of stuff.
Well, it's scary when the consumers have a lot of trust in maybe it's wrongfully placed, but they tend to think that they're protected a little more so than they may be, and they don't know that. It's happened in the security industry as well. There was a chipset manufacturer that did a lot of VMSs, especially the consumer-grade type VMSs that you see in some of the stores, video management systems, like you see them sort of packaged at the consumer level for, like in Costco's and things like that, 4 cameras, 8 cameras. And they also similarly had malware embedded in the chipset. And this was a chipset that was OEM to many other manufacturers, so it was quite like millions deployed before it got caught.
So here you are, I go into wherever I buy this camera with this chipset that's been in there, and the chipset's been pre-hacked.
It's got malware in it that allows people to get into
it. So I mean, it's getting unbelievable.
We're not safe anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised you.
The security gear's not safe.
I mean, you're not comfortable safe in anything. I'm surprised you still got a laptop. You want to go back to
There's nothing on it anybody can.
You'll probably go back to a quill pen. You
think we'll be back to pen and paper soon?
Pen and paper, right?
Well, I mean, there's probably some value in that anyway.
The value in pen and paper.
The sharing of information. If you want it protected, and we're on TV, but I should probably tell you and you tell me, and that's about as safe as it's going to get as long as we're somewhere and no one's listening.
And no one's listening to us. I know.
If you write it on paper, you better burn it. I mean, they used to do that kind of thing, and the world as we know it, and I've got another story to tell later, but this world, there's no safety here. There's no anonymity, and there's no privacy.
There's no privacy. So let's talk about the new one. The dark. I call it the dark side, but it has another name. But this new undertaking that's happened out there.
Sure. So,
Kinda like
so
WikiLeaks.
interestingly, so we talked a little bit about Bitcoin before.
Right.
Bitcoin now giving buyers and sellers ways to have a financial transaction anonymously.
Correct.
They
It's
don't
all
know
mapped.
each other,
Right.
and none of the parties know them. So what DarkLeaks has done is basically opened up a market for purveyors of information. That be anyone that wants to sell information. They can now sell it anonymously. They can advertise it anonymously, and buyers can look at that information, mine it, search it, see what information they may want to purchase. They purchase it, it's encrypted, and once they get it, they get the keys, automatically get the keys to be able to view
get
the
the important
information,
information. So-
and then they get paid with Bitcoin. So there's really no way to track these guys.
Right.
Now, I personally believe that the NSA, there are people who have penetrated these sites and can track these people, but it's not available to guys like you and I and the general
well,
public or anyone else.
I'm a Bitcoin trader, so
Right on.
I trade and sell Bitcoins.
So you're making money off the guys. You
trying,
hope they're making
I'm
money.
trying to make money.
Yeah.
I'm still on the show, so obviously it's not working. so, so I'm trying to make money off of Bitcoin, but that thing is a roller coaster ride every day. I mean, it goes down to $200 and up to $400 in a matter of minutes, but it has value. I mean, I want people to realize that, and we're going to do a show on Bitcoin later on. But Microsoft takes Bitcoin, Dell takes Bitcoin.
Sure.
I think HP takes Bitcoin to buy their products. So
Yeah.
it is a form of currency that can be used. Amazon uses Bitcoin.
And it's accepted today, sure.
So,
There's no
now,
doubt about that.
now you've got DarkLeaks.
DarkLeaks.
So DarkLeaks, now I can go and say, okay, I want to find out about Drew.
Sure.
Right? And they're going to say, okay, well, you ain't going to be that expensive. But they'll say,
What are you saying? What I know.
The trading, a Bitcoin trades for $244 as of this morning. So for one Bitcoin. So, they'd probably charge you, I don't know, a tenth of a Bitcoin. So a tenth of Bitcoin.
$25 for my information.
Yeah, I get $25, I get your information from that. And then what, would they whet my appetite with something so I'd want to get more?
Yeah, well, I think for me, so what I thought of immediately, because the clients that we service, right, they all have clients that they service. They have information about those clients. Perhaps, remember Mary was on here, for example, so
Right.
maybe they have advertising information for a program that a company's going to do.
Intellectual property.
Now, for sure, that competitor would maybe that information may be valuable to them
Okay.
to know what kind of campaign is going to roll out. So maybe there's value there for a hacker to get that information and offer it for sale.
Okay.
And so those sorts of ideas are what I think are, my passwords could be valuable if someone wanted to get into one of our clients' sites, for example, or maybe the passwords of our staff. If they could learn that, maybe they're using that also on a work website.
Right.
And then the penetration testers will trial that. These
And
guys
trial the
will,
stuff to get in.
as we talked about pre-texting last week, there's
Right.
guys that will continue to take that information, because the deeper they can drive, the more information they can get access to with the information that they're going to sell you, the more valuable that information they're selling.
Right, right. So, we had ended up picking up a new client at Paxa. It was they got hacked, and they got, all of their files were encrypted. So they got hacked, and every file was encrypted. And so they
ransomware.
they didn't do it.
Someone-
yeah, ransomware.
yeah, so
They did
someone
not do
paid
the
the-
encryption.
Sure.
The hacker did the encryption, and they had to pay a ransom. And guess what they paid in?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Of course.
So they paid in
Because it's
Bitcoin, and
anonymous.
that's how they did it. And it wasn't a lot of money, a couple $100. But it was funny. It went to some European location where
Sure.
once they got their couple $100 or whatever it is in Bitcoins, then they gave us the key so that we could go and open up all those files for everybody.
And did they go back and do it again the next day?
No, because
did they find the
then the
hole?
appropriate security went in place to
Yes.
prevent that from happening. But just just a kind of a whole certain thing.
But so I often wonder, like, so if I was gonna do that to someone, wouldn't I put a back door in there? I mean,
Well,
that data that's now been given back to you, been given access to, has probably
Yeah.
got some infection, and you got to look at it.
It's really
scary.
Really,
Huh?
so we we're having this conversation on security today, but we're going to be talking about process and some really unique things that Forrest will talk about. But we came up against process when we were doing some projects together. Access control cards. Remember the projects we were doing, these ID badges. I worked
These
for
cause a lot of problems.
Yeah,
for people that don't have
I worked
them.
for a company. I had 3 of them
Sure.
because I kept losing them, or I kept forgetting them at home. So, and I would go back to my office and make my own.
Oh,
So
great.
I'd have one at the office, I had one in the car, and I had one that I was supposed to bring with me. And that was how and as long as I showed that badge, I was allowed to get into any of the facilities.
And since you have several, and one with you maybe, the other two are wherever they are, and who's using them we don't know.
Or if I lost it.
That's what I mean. Hopefully it's in your car or wherever it's supposed to be,
Where-
but you may not know.
So we had to go through this whole process where we actually issued, was it how many true ID cards? 8,000, 9,000 badges.
Maybe it's still growing. I mean, we're still down there issuing.
Yeah, so 8,000 or 9,000 badges where we actually put in the systems and the processes to make those work. Because we could have just given them new badges. I said, okay, now you got new badges, but if you didn't have any of the controlling mechanisms in there, the policies and the procedures, there was no way that this system was going to work.
Right, and I think most of the original ones were visual, right? Like for the guard, there weren't access controls in place at all for the use of the badge. So we went from a piece of plastic to something that had a credential on it, some form of authentication, which we'll talk about a little bit later
Famous
as well.
FIPS 201.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
And so, but the whole point being here is that we talk about this industry, this tech industry, but there are things that are related to the tech industry that aren't per se tech itself, because tech is just the tool. But you as in the future, for a future job that you want to do, you could actually be in the business process re-engineering the way we do things.
I think Forrest will help illuminate that story for us. I've seen a lot of poor implementations of technology because the reason behind, the why of the technology, the delivery of the technology was never established.
Right.
So someone had a goal, and maybe we met the goal with access control, for example. They were able to keep that door shut unless I had a card.
Right.
But the overriding policy for why I wanted only people with cards to get inside, or I wanted authentication at my perimeter, or whatever the policy was, and then the procedures for what to do when something else occurs besides the thing that's supposed to occur have to all be written.
Yeah,
and someone has to take the time in an organization to do that, and that takes buy-in from everyone there.
Right, and it requires someone with a real detailed mindset. They've got to be able to walk through these things step by step.
Patience.
Patience. Oh yeah,
Sure, these
and
things happen slowly.
diplomacy. And I'm sure Forrest can talk about diplomacy. He's got some interesting government experiences. So those are the kind of the neat things. I think some of the things that we found when we did this project was, remember there was 1,400 keys. They had 1,400 physical keys, and that they didn't know were out there, and who had them. And vendors who were no longer vendors still had keys to get into these facilities. I mean, this is like, where's
common.
I can still remember when we were doing this project, and when they said, well, that's okay, we got everything in the lock boxes. And I went, what lock boxes? And you go down the basement, and there's like hundreds of lock boxes all along the walls where, each vendor had their name on it, and each vendor had a key in the lock box with a combination on it. Sure. And some of their employees were no longer employees.
Yeah. And they know the combination.
They know the combination, go down there and get the key.
No security whatsoever.
It's just mind-blowing. When was the last time this vendor was in here? Oh, that lock box has been here for 4 years, but the vendor's not. We haven't used that vendor for 6. I mean, so
unfortunately, I tour so many sites that are like that. We've gone beyond. I mean, the cost of the electronic key, the electronic access control is much greater today than still that Medico key, that hardware key. But the world today is absolutely. We know that the maintenance of those keys and replacing all those keys every time a master's lost. So people that are still investing money in those types of systems really haven't taken the time, as we've talked about, to look at their policies and procedures and define the cost over time and understand how to properly secure their facilities. And
okay, my Flomax is not kicking right
it?
now, so it's that time.
That was quick.
Yeah, it was quick. I mean, so I gotta head off. We'll take a little break. You guys want to take a little break too? Go ahead, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes with our good friend Forrest.
Thanks.
Aloha, Yappers. This is your host, Kingsley, for the Yap Show. Every Friday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch us here live, ThinkTech Hawaii, and then later on we upload to our YouTube channel. We talk about youth issues, policies, youth programs, and how to transition yourself into adulthood.
But this was like a sign, I guess. Hey, life's like, hey, now's your chance to go back to school, which I'm doing.
Catch us here again live, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Aloha.
We're here with Hunter Haviland because he is a member of our panel on February 26th. We're going to talk about Hawaii, the state of unfunded liabilities. Hi, Hunter.
Hi, Jay.
So what does it look like from your point of view, being on that panel?
Well, part of my work is with the Asia Pacific Center for Regenerative Design. And so with that, we're kind of taking a broader notion of when we talk about liabilities, what are some of the external factors, right? So if we're talking about sustainability across the globe, resilience to natural disasters, our use of natural resources, and how those things do or don't get incorporated into our current understandings of the state of the state.
Yeah, and thus the liabilities and thus the economy. Yeah. So that's February 26th. It's a Thursday. It's at Laniakea. It starts at 12 noon. Come down 11:30 for lunch. Check out our website to sign up, thinktechhawaii.com. Hunter is one of 7 speakers. We'll be trying to talk to some of the others too, let you know what they're going to do. And sign up. We'll see you there. It'll be important. It's one of the most important things we can think of. Aloha.
Aloha.
Hi, my name is Andrew Howard. I'm an astronomer at the Institute for Astronomy at the University of Hawaii up in Manoa. I'd like to tell you about the annual open house that we're having. This year it is on April 6th, 11 to 4 p.m. It's an all ages event, kids, grown-ups, even people in between. Everyone is welcome. We have a lot of really fun activities. You get to meet astronomers, look at yourself in an infrared camera, play with Legos, make robots, look at videos. You can even make some of the kids like to make comets out of gravel and snow. Even adults like to do that too. You'll be able to look at the sun with a solar camera safely. It's really a great activity. We do this every year in April, and I hope to see you this year. Thanks.
Come alive.
All right, welcome back to Hibachi Talk. Angus is in the house with his usual tips and tricks. Angus, what do you got for us this week?
Hey, how you doing there, Drew? It's been a wonderful week as usual out there in Aloha land.
I like your beads. It looks like you've been somewhere else, maybe.
Oh yeah, Mardi Gras was on Monday night. You know, we were celebrating Mardi Gras, so I was collecting a bunch of beads out there. So it worked out pretty good.
Nice.
Had a great time.
And did you have a date?
Oh no, unfortunately the dating did not work out. You know, we had on there last week, and it kind of didn't work out. You know why? I'll give you a reason why. She was kind of judgmental. She was always judging me, always looking at me and judging me and telling me what I should be doing and so on. So I said, no, I cannot do it. That's it. I'm out of here, and that's it. She was on her way.
Well, you were so taken with her. I didn't know if it was the exposure of the pictures or what happened there.
I think it was. I was taken by the pictures in the red suit, not the one in the black suit.
I see. Do we have that?
No, I don't think we do. We don't. No more than eating. I'm
There she is.
Oh, there she is. I know. Very judgmental.
She looks a little judgmental.
Yeah, very judgmental.
She related to the chief judge, maybe.
Yeah, maybe could be that. But yeah, never mind. It didn't work out. So off we go. Anyway, Drew, I got my segment today is going to talk about how'd you like to get rid of your passwords? No passwords. Wouldn't that be awesome?
I'm a fan of that. You know that.
I can't remember we did the segment before, your most used passwords. I mean,
Sure.
I could just be awesome to do that. But anyway, so Microsoft in the third quarter are going to come out with two-factor authentication. We didn't need their passwords, but you're going to need your phone or a biometric. It's called Fido, like the dog, Fido. But this is going to come out and it's going to be there, and it's going to be awesome. So I would encourage our viewers and the ladies and the boys here at the beach to go check out Fido on the kind website with Microsoft, and you'll get a good sense of how you will no longer need passwords starting in the end of this year. It'll be awesome.
And I think since that operating system is fairly ubiquitous across your tablet, your PC, your cloud environment, your phone, so that one single or that form of authentication will work across all your devices at one time and know who you are.
You got it, Drew. That's how it's going to work. It's going to be awesome. Anyway, I got to head on out of here. I got to go down to the beach and see some of the lassies, and we'll talk to you guys later.
All right, thanks, Angus.
Aloha!
All right, man. Angus is a crazy guy. I hope he gets another day. We'll have to get him to update us next week on that. We're going to have Mr. Forrest Frizzell in here this afternoon talking a little bit about technology and some of the precursors to the using of technology. He's got a lot of experience, and we're happy to have him here today. Aloha, Forrest. Welcome, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Forrest, long time no see. Nice to see you, buddy. You know, I got to say something before we start. Do you realize you're sitting between two of your ex-bosses?
The thought did occur to me.
I mean, this is going to be
So I'm
kind
a
of
little bit nervous about the type of questions that
Yeah.
I'm going to be
All right,
receiving.
wait, I got a gift for you guys. You can fight over it. This is a little head shaver. You notice both these guys have, well, they have a little
You
less
should
hair
talk.
than I do.
You should talk.
I have too much hair to use it, but you know, this little tractor's got a razor on it, so
Oh.
this is, you take that with you when you go, let
Well,
us know how it
Angus
works
could use
out.
it on his peach fuzz, maybe.
Or Angus.
Yeah,
All
he
right
could
on,
also
okay.
use it there.
Sorry to interrupt you.
So that was a very interesting, the beginning of your show talking about dark links. And I think it's interesting to see as we move away from brick and mortar ideas like paper currency to electronic currency.
Right.
Like there's nothing that's sacred anymore.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I mean,
It's
nothing.
really
Nothing at all.
frightening.
My fear is they created criminals. Like now I've got a way to actually, in theory, hide myself and my activity and go
Right.
find something that's valuable and sell it, and no one will know I sold it. So, you know, it
It's-
may bring out the worst in some people who
it's-
maybe didn't know they even had the worst in them.
I know, that's true, that's true. Anyway, let's go, you know, again, this show's about tech careers and opportunities, and you've been obviously in the industry for a long time. So, but where did you go to school? Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Oregon.
Oh,
and
no, not a Duck fan.
Go Ducks.
Oh, Jesus.
Although I did transfer to the University of Hawaii, so
Oh, they finally saw the light.
I am an alumni of the
Saw the
University
light.
of Hawaii.
Got out of the clouds.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, awesome. So what was your major? It's not like anthropology, like
Yeah.
never let this
You
guy
didn't,
up on
you
it.
didn't
so-
linger in the no
No.
pay zone, did you?
I was a communications major with
Ah.
a minor in Hawaiian studies.
Oh, no, oh.
So absolutely, really, I mean, there's very little correlation to what I do
What you
today.
do in tech. You know what? And that's the one thing I find fascinating in the industry is like most of the people that are in the tech industry did not start out in the tech industry.
One of the things that I did, I was drawn to technology when I was in college, and so I actually had an internship. I did an internship for an entire year with Oceanic Cable, worked for free in a networking hub. Every single day I would go and work for free, and my friends thought I was crazy, but I think it actually made all the difference.
I totally agree. I worked for free for 6 months too, but it was the penalty for being a hacker. So,
Yeah.
but it still was for free. No matter what way I look at it, I still volunteered. Volunteered.
Right.
Keyword being volunteered. So then you're a good loyal UH football fan too. I must admit. I see you there. Mary Fastenal's there, a regular. So there's a lot of us still out there.
Absolutely, I try and attend every game.
I know, and I see you there making your noise. So anyway, so you've worked on some really great projects in your very short career. You know, you've done some great work with Drew. You've done some great work when you worked with us at the city and on some amazing government projects. But you know, a lot of the things that you did were all around the things we're talking about, process, right? You know, and things like that. So maybe it might be good if you kind of talk through some of the things that you did in that whole process area.
Well, I want to get from the free work, the intern work, to the
okay, yeah. Before
to
he
the
does
next
that,
step.
Good idea.
I'd like to know, get a little more. So the intern, you were in the data hub.
Right,
at
so
Oceanic,
I was in this
up in Milani or at the tech center?
No, there's one in
Okay.
in town in
Okay.
Mo'iliili, in a very nebulous-looking building, and so from
Did you
there.
have an ID badge to get in and out?
I didn't. That was pre-ID badge.
Oh, okay.
After graduation, Oceanic actually had a hiring freeze, and so I ended up going to the Silicon Valley and working for it was a semiconductor company.
Wow.
And it was a really incredible experience to be up there during the whole .com or .bomb.
Dot bomb. He might have met Jason up there. We had Jason. Remember that?
That's right.
He was an engineer.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to be. I mean, there was a lot of hype and there was a lot of excitement, and it was easy to get drawn into that. And just ridiculous spending. Like we had break rooms that were filled with breakfast and lunch and catered dinners every night. When I lived there, I had a little bit more hair. I wasn't quite as challenged. They had free
Follically challenged.
Right, they had free haircuts that would come in every 3 weeks.
Really?
Massages. It was insane.
Oh,
Wow.
I would have
What
just
was
sat
it?
in the chair for the fun of it.
It was SMC. What the?
It was Transmeta Corporation.
Transmit. Oh yeah, right on. Wow.
So it was a fun time, but Hawaii called me back. I really wanted to be back in Hawaii. I came back and I worked for Architects Hawaii, and it was more of a traditional, IT support role. And I did that for a while, and then that's when I met you.
Oh, yeah.
And your company, IST, a startup in its own right back then.
Yeah.
And I actually remember to this day our conversation upstairs in Pioneer Plaza and you said to me, I want to grow this company, and I think you can help me. And it was fun.
And you did.
I did.
And then I stole him away.
Then you stole it. Yeah. Well, we didn't pay him though. He was working on his revenue
I just
stream.
kind of love
you
it,
know.
right? We're still friends. And I can
Oh,
still,
yeah.
I can still remember the day when I offered him the job to be the deputy director. He was in my office. He drained. The blood went right out of his, right out of his face. He turned white. He said, "What?"
Nice.
Oh yeah, and you have to be appointed, and you have to go through city council, and you got to wear a suit and a tie. And look, he's got no neck. You should see him trying to put a tie on this guy.
Oh,
There's
yeah?
no way. I had to tie the tie and get it all up in there. So you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very proud of the fact that I didn't know how to tie a tie.
Good man. You survived that long. That's a good thing about Hawaii too.
Oh
Right.
man, we got to dig up some of those old Olelos with you on there in city council with no
Oh,
tie.
man.
I was going to call you No Neckatelli. I know you're Italian. That was going to be your nickname.
So with us, yeah, because with us you've managed some pretty large accounts.
Pretty large. I did a lot of business development, a little bit of project management
Yeah,
work.
and some Kaiser stuff.
Kaiser City,
and
yeah.
City, yeah, that's right. Right
Yeah.
on.
You did
Good.
a neat one with the motor pool over
Right.
there. That was kind of a neat,
Right.
cool project you did.
Oh, that's right. I think he made the headlines with that one, didn't he?
Yeah, so we were looking at a way to consolidate motor pool at the Fozzie Municipal Building, and so we used that as a prototype. So we had our ID badges, so we looked a step further in how do we use technology to make checking a car in and out more efficient. And it was actually, we looked at it a step further. Some departments had brand new cars because they had a budget, and other departments had really old, unsafe cars because they didn't have a budget. And so we really collapsed that. And using a web portal, you could, like an Avis or a Dollar, you could check out your car, present your badge, cabinet would open, you take the key, and you have the vehicle.
Yeah, and there was a lot of process you had to work through on that.
Yeah. I think the city was really an interesting place to kind of bolster that skill set of being able to really get to the why you're using technology or the why you're doing a project, and the technology part of it really comes at the end. And that's where I've really, my career path, I think, has kind of started to go more in that direction, where I'm much more interested in like the behavioral part of technology and the consumption of technology, and the actual vehicle is less interesting to me.
That's kind of like Tara last week was working in a similar
in a
vein.
similar
with,
vein. So it's interesting. You see, so again, I keep pushing. There's so many avenues in this tech field that if you find one that particularly likes you, business processes or whatever, you can fit it in there, and then you learn the technology solutions that are around it that can be the great tools. I mean, you did another one that was kind of a cool thing, was the website, Honolulu Answers.
Right.
That was kind of a unique, really out of the box thinking, and I hate using that term, but it was really not something that someone normally would do.
I think what was so meaningful with that project is we were doing a lot of outreach at that time to understand how citizens were consuming government technology and services. And one of the things that kept coming back to us was our web portal was really unusable. You couldn't search on it, and it was set up by departments. And most citizens don't really know what departments do what, and they don't really care. They're concerned about the
they
service.
just want they want what they want.
service.
Yeah.
And
Makes
so I spent a lot of time internal with our customer service department to understand what type of calls they were receiving. And we took the 50 most calls, and then I went out to the individual departments, and I think I took like the top 10 most requested information. And then we held an event that your former guest, Sarah Kumans, actually played a big role in. We called it a write-a-thon, and we brought folks from the public together to actually answer these questions. And then we submitted it up to this website, and we called it Honolulu Answers.
Yeah, what was kind of cool about that was, and I remember we were part of it, so like Mayor Carlisle came, we had people from the police department came, and they were not forced to come, but they wanted to see what was going on and interact with the community and find out how to make things better than they were before.
Right.
I mean, a good example is like, the state of Hawaii does not have a DMV. There is no DMV in Hawaii. It's Satellite City Hall, and it's run
I bet you 9 out of 10 citizens don't know that.
Don't know that. And when you go to the website and you do DMV, I mean, now you're going to get to the customer services department at the city and county of Honolulu. So it's really kind of like, who would know that if you were new coming in here?
Right.
So you kind of took those kinds of things. How do I get a driver's license?
Right, and the beauty of it is 10 out of 10 citizens don't care. They just want to
They
get
just
their
want a
driver's
license,
license.
yeah. Gotcha. Right on.
Right.
Pretty insightful.
Yeah,
I think that goes back to his communications degree. See where that kind of plays into that gathering of information, you
Right,
know? So
right.
maybe that's a...
Right.
Okay. Well, you know, we're gonna, it's amazing how we just crank through time. We're gonna take a short break, pay some bills, and fill up our libations. It's high mucka mucka talk for
Right.
cocktail.
I was going to call it hibachi juice.
Okay,
but-
hibachi juice.
Yeah.
Okay, there you
Yeah,
go.
I like that.
And then, so we'll do that. We'll come back, and then we can talk about this really cool project you worked on with the guards and the prisoners and all that stuff. All right,
Excellent.
we'll be back in a minute. Thanks.
Hi, aloha. My name is Chris Leatham, and I host a show called The Economy and You. The show plays every Wednesday at noon, and on my show, I bring on guests who are interested or working in the technology space. And so I'd like you to come and watch the show and learn with me about all the sort of exciting things that we're doing in Hawaii to build and grow our economy ecosystem. So I'd like to say aloha, and I look forward to seeing you on the show. Thank you.
Well, how you doing? Welcome back to Hibachi Talk. I'm here with Drew, my buddy, the security guy, and our good friend and former employee, Forrest Frizzell. Keyword being former employee, Forrest Frizzell, has done some really unique projects here in the
But I
city
liked
and
his
county.
last title. I mean, he wasn't working for us. What was his title? What was your title?
Business Innovation
The
Officer?
Innovation
Business
Officer.
Innovation
And what was
Officer.
Tara's last week? She was the...
She had a real bizarre one too. I
It
can't
was
remember.
awesome.
Yeah.
Chief, I forget about it.
Incubator, whatever,
I couldn't get
something
it.
like that. I could never quite remember it. So anyway, great, Forrest, to have you here. We're going to talk about your project. I like how to see the forest for the trees. So let's talk about this project and how you've pulled it together with the prisoners and the court systems and such.
Well, there's many beginnings to this project, but I think in the essence of time, we'll start with the most traumatic, and that was an escape that happened at Circuit Court,
that one.
Teddy Monet.
Yeah.
And it was a big thing for us because that just doesn't really happen here very
Right.
often.
Right.
And so the Department of Public Safety looked into the occurrence and came back with some ideas around how they could improve the process. And we had a really good relationship with the director at the time, who was a really forward-thinking, very forward-thinking man. And he trusted us to come in without actually identifying what we were going to solve and what kind of technology we were going to use, which is very, very...
That's pretty open.
That's- yeah.
That's pretty open-ended.
It's very rare in,
Yeah,
in
that's true.
technology, but I think it's very important, and I hope that these types of projects can happen more often because it allows you to start with why. Why are you doing this project?
Right.
And so what we did was bring everybody that was part of this process of transporting custodies to the table. And so it was prison guards, it was sheriffs, and it was the judiciary folks who were calling for these people.
Now, had they ever sat together before? Had they ever,
Not in the way that we brought them together.
Okay.
And I think one of the things that we did that was really valuable was we brought in a facilitator.
Okay.
And the reason it was valuable is the facilitator had no skin in the game, and they were really there to just draw out questions and answer questions.
Okay.
And again, she was deemed as somebody who she had no agenda. Right, and that was there was brilliance in that.
Right.
And we mapped this entire process out, and it was very complex. And you could see through that process where there was multiple areas that could use improvement. And just based on that alone, we were unable to really know where we'd be most impactful. So the next thing that we did was actually go and observe. And so we went to the transportation unit at OCCC and watched the process of getting people ready in the morning to go to court. We went to Circuit Court, inside Circuit Court to the cell block, and watched that whole process. We sat in judiciary, watched that process, and we interviewed a lot of folks and distilled all that information down. And then we were able to identify a section of that, a piece of this long process that we thought we could be most impactful.
So those that were were the guards, the transporters, the attorney, any attorney, prosecuting attorney's office, or any of those kinds of things.
All of the above.
Wow.
And I use we in the team that we put together because it was absolutely a team effort, and everybody had a skill set that they brought to the table, which made it valuable. But I think when you go through a process like this, what you learn is the people who have the answers are the ones that do it every day.
Right.
And you could never go in as a technologist, as a C class, as a president, as a consultant, and really ever know what that is. It comes from those that do it day by day, and that there's so much power in that, and I think again that allows you to go back to starting with why.
Yeah. And but you also, I recall you also uncovered some other things as part of doing this process that would end up helping those that had been incarcerated and getting them through the system faster, over and above just the transportation side.
Right. I think it was just efficiencies that one side didn't see because they didn't have a clear communication channel with the other side. And so just making some adjustments along the way helped to improve that before even the technology was implemented.
Well, so lo and behold, how many decades later did it take to implement this? It's
Well,
not a government project, man. They're way over budget and they go way over schedule.
Thankfully, it was it came in the form of a grant, so we could be much more nimble.
Okay.
And it was about a 4-month project, and we ended up writing a web portal utilizing Ruby on Rails, and we created a view of an Excel spreadsheet that they were basically working on, and we made it look like Excel. And I want to jump back. There was a rule that I made for my team, and that was we can't add any additional work to these people.
Right.
They are already completely overtasked. And so if we add something, we have to take something away. And it's because they were comfortable working in Excel, we made our web portal look like Excel, but with drop-down menus. And now there's all these data points that we're capturing that are sitting in a database. So with that, we were able to create some dashboard views. So an example is the judiciary folks, all they really care about is who's sitting in cell block. Are they ready either to go to court or can their public defender go and speak with them? That's what they're concerned about. The transportation folks from OCCC, they're really concerned who's gone through the process and is now waiting. They don't want these folks sitting in cell block. It's not comfortable, they get agitated, and you don't want a bunch of people sitting there. So if there's 8, 9, 10 people ready, we need to start sending some units. And is there females? Do we need to send female guards?
Oh, okay.
And so they can better plan in their movement.
Yeah, so if you think about it, and you don't think about it, it's like you start with those that have been incarcerated. They've got to get checked out. They've got to get transported. They've got to get checked in.
Right.
And then there's all the different meets along the way that occur with that.
Right. And I think when you can find what's meaningful, people really can gravitate towards wanting to be a part of it. And what's meaningful in this is when somebody's sitting pretrial custody, they're not receiving services. Right. So if it's a drug issue or if it's a mental health issue, they're sitting there not receiving services, and that's a human thing where you have compassion for these people, regardless of their situation. You have compassion that they're going through this, and you want them to receive the service. So if you can get them through the process quicker, then we all, as a community, are better off.
Then they have the chances of getting them the services that they've been sitting and waiting for.
Right.
Because of what's been stuck in the system.
Right.
So was that an outcome that you guys were able to demonstrate? Did you have like a higher percentage of movement or a faster percentage of movement of people through the system? Awesome.
Absolutely. We showed increase in on-time percentage through the court process, which ultimately means that they go through the sentence.
Yeah, they don't have to go back and go back and go back. They called the wrong guy and his court date got moved or those kind of problems. I see. Wow.
Wow. So now you did this.
That was a grant, like UASI grant or state? It was
a grant through a private organization.
For a private organization.
That's awesome.
And then you brought private individuals in.
Yes.
As well as, so you had citizens as well as those that were employees of the various agencies, or?
It was employees of the various agencies and then our team that we put together.
And your team that you put together. Wow, that's kind of a neat one.
It was probably the most meaningful project I've ever worked on, just because of the human the capital aspect of it.
Of that.
Yeah.
So
they were left with this, basically you build a web portal, so it's free. It's got to be maybe updated periodically, but they get to have it and use it. And
so that's why I wanted to mention it was written on Ruby on Rails. So it's hosted on Heroku. Because there's such little traffic, I think it costs $9 a month.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that think about that.
So again, business process, there's still the technology piece. So you had to have people that understood, okay, the web design work, the infrastructure, where are you going to put it on Heroku, and then who's the consumers of it. So essentially what I'm hearing from you is that all the way along this chain, I can, no matter what agency I'm with, I can see a status of where these individuals are
Right.
and know what's going on. Whereas before, as soon as I did my thing, that was it.
Before, the only way to know is to call. And so the poor desk sergeant who's sitting in cell block is receiving phone call after phone call after phone call. And that's not a good thing. You
No.
need that person to be focused on the people in front of him.
Right.
And so we eliminated a lot of those calls.
Yeah,
And
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, as part of the process, because we spent so much time with them and we formed these relationships, when it moves to ideation, right, prototyping,
What a great word.
And design, we were able to go back and forth like seamlessly with them and have them test what we were working on.
Okay.
And where it didn't work, you go back and ideate. It is a beautiful word.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to do that, I think, when you don't have a relationship, because they look at it as this is additional work for me.
Now, was there any of them feeling threatened when you guys came in there? Were they like, you're going to take away my job? What do you know?
Not in that sense, but what we did hear, and again, this happens a lot, is they were surprised how often we came back.
Oh.
And they expect that, I think generally a consultant will come in and kind of gather what they need, and they disappear because they already know what they're going to do. In their mind, we're going to use this technology and try and wrap it around this problem.
Right.
And for us, it was a complete different approach. And because they kept seeing us coming back, they really realized, like, wow, that we're serious about solving this problem.
And you were involved. And that's another word that I don't necessarily love. As a former consultant, someone said to me before, "Oh, consultant, someone that can't get a real job."
Yeah.
So.
Well, I can't help but think, though, I can just see these guys making phone calls, using written logs, written journals. There's no gathering of data. There's no tracking of data. No one knows what occurred 6 months ago or a year ago. There's no way to go back and look. Now you've got a system that's got all that data built in, so as time goes by, you actually can continue to improve on it if there's more improvement necessary.
Yes.
It's the other thing that you gain by, getting it into some sort of an environment where the data's got, teeth.
Very, very good point, because and I know you love analytics and you always bring it back, but that's a good point. It's like down the road now you've got data points where you can start saying, okay, maybe there's some tweaks we can make somewhere else in this, or do we need to buy another truck? Those kinds of things, and then you can have at least the data that substantiates why you need maybe another vehicle or another guard or whatever.
That's what I was saying, the fact of someone who got away, right? So that, you can see if the system, you could probably tell now where the system could start to get overloaded by the number of dockets that are registered or the amount of bodies that have to transport or whatever. I'm sure it's visible now, where before it was just some poor guy, I can't take any more calls, just going berserk.
Can you hear me now?
Like, don't send any more, and there's another truckload shows up,
Right.
Wow.
So big takeaways from that, and then so.
I think the biggest takeaway is it would be wonderful if organizations would be more open to following a process like this, because I think the end result becomes much more impactful.
Right. Well, it's interesting, and we could talk about this for a longer period of time, and there's a lot of more good things going on in your life that we want to catch up on, but we've just burned another lunch hour. It's amazing what can happen. We just burned another lunch hour. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to join us. We do have our traditional, ever popular, and don't ever lose it because it's worth probably a Bitcoin or two.
You
And
think?
so that'll be worth a Bitcoin or two. That's your autographed solo cup from Hibachi Talk.
What's the moratorium of putting this up on eBay?
30 days.
30 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then you can
Awesome.
put it up there. Anyway, I want to thank Andrew, the security guy, Mr.
Right
Caution
on.
all of us into safety. Forrest, great having you on the show.
Thank you
Looking
for
forward
having me.
looking forward to working with you again in the future. Thank all of you for joining us today. I want to thank Emily and Zuri for keeping us straight and in line.
And Jay.
And Jay and Melanie for making
And Mel.
sure, once again, I didn't step on my crank. So anyway, thank you, everybody. We'll see you again next week. And how you doing?
Aloha.
Aloha.